we move into a new topic, which is about Taṇhā, the craving, which has a huge influence upon the Buddhist teachings and very famous as the cause of suffering in the tradition. So in the Dhammacakkappavattana Sutta, Buddha declared craving as the reason for suffering. So monks, this is the origin of suffering, craving, which causes the rebirth, which is together with delight, and delight in whatever life attained wherever is the origin of suffering. That is to say, Kama Taṇhā, Bhava Taṇhā, and Vibhava Taṇhā. So there are three adjectives. Hono Bhavika, it means which cause the rebirth. Nandiraga Sahagata, which is together with delight, craving with delight, and delight in whatever life attained wherever. The first delight is a noun. Second delight is the verb. Right? Delighting, delights actually, it should be delights, singular, delights in whatever life attained wherever. It's called Tatra Tatrabhinandini. It's a one noun. Even though Tatra seems to be Nipata, indeclinable, this is a one noun. So, among these three types of cravings, the most fundamental is the Bhava Taṇhā. Bhava Taṇhā is explained as, if you go to directly 11.4 fundamental, Bhava Taṇhā is the attachment connected with Sassata Ditti, attachment to whatever wholesome or unwholesome deed, and wishing with attachment for any life. So there are three explanations of Bhava Taṇhā. All are comprised in Bhava Taṇhā. I have given you the references. So Bhava Taṇhā is not only in Vibhavani, it is explained as, to my knowledge, it's explained as the craving connected with eternal view, but it's a partial explanation. If someone says it's connected with eternal view, it's a partial explanation. Bhava Kamha encompasses all the attachments, any wish or attachment towards any sort of life, to the existence we can call, and to the good and bad deeds. Because bhava, the word bhava can be explained as kamma bhava and also upapatti bhava. Right? Kamma bhava and upapatti bhava. So this definition, normally bhava means existing. So when we consider that the self exists after life, that is called bhavaditti. But and the craving with that kind of a view is called Bhava Taṇhā. At the same time, Bhava also emphasizes upon the Kamma and also the Upapatti Bhava. That is why the Lady Sayadaw has given this Taṇhā for whatever Kamma, wholesome or unwholesome. Taṇhā for whatever life can also be termed as Bhava Taṇhā. So based on this definition, we would explain this lecture. So if you go to 11.2, non-arahant is latently attached to the existence and sense objects. It means non-arahants like us always have a craving towards our life, to continue living. So we like to see good objects, enjoy good objects, sense objects. At the same time, the most fundamental craving that we have is to exist, to continue living. Living means taking objects out of the senses and performing various deeds. So sometimes this attachment gets manifested as a mental state, and in other occasions it remains dormant. Sometimes we get attached to our life, to other things, but all the time means whenever, in other occasions it remains dormant. For instance, while we perform charity an act which abandons attachment and strengthens non-attachment, our latent craving to continue living and enjoy sense objects is still present with us. So even while we are giving a dana, still we latently inherit this craving. This is a fundamental attribute of all the beings. The reason we'll discuss later. So its presence can be verified in a sudden confrontation with an accident. So while we are doing a good deed, sometimes most of the cases, when we confront a certain sudden accident, what happens? Fear starts to arise. For example, if the earth shakes out of a sudden, its presence can be verified, sudden confrontation of an accident. If the earth shakes out of a sudden, we feel frightened and try to find a shelter. This fear and efforts are due to dormant craving towards our lives. If an arahant confronts an accident, a sudden accident even, his mind doesn't get such a terrified feeling. It's like even a thunder strikes immediately, he's not shocked. Nothing happens, like emotionally nothing happens to him like it happens to us. So that is the thing, that even we are doing wholesome deeds, we still possess this fundamental craving towards our lives. So the next fundamental, all non-arahants die with this latent craving. Everyone die with this, remain with this. With this means together with this craving, not apart from this. It means all non-arahants die with an unsatisfied craving to live more and to experience sense objects with the senses. So everyone who is a non-arahant is not satisfied about his life. Satisfied means they don't feel it's enough. We have lived for 30, 40 years, but still we don't feel like it's enough. We have seen objects from our eyes throughout our entire life, but have you ever felt that it's enough? We don't feel like it, because it's a desire that cannot be fulfilled. It's like filling water to a basket which has no bottom. So, but sometimes people suicide themselves. That is not because that they have fully eradicated craving. That is because they cannot face the problems that they are facing, or due to a wrong view, complete wrong view. Sometimes there was an incident in one country that a group of people suicide themselves because of a wrong view. Right? Considering that something is going to happen to the world or something, a group of people, they suicide themselves. There was such a true incident in Asia, to my remember, in North Asia, East Asian country. Right? So likewise, every non-arahant inherently possess this quality of craving to the lives. So what happens among these two? Now I have mentioned two types of attachment: attachment to the sense objects and attachment to the life. The attachment to the life seems to be more fundamental, very basic, right? It is the most basic kind of attachment. Bhava Taṇhā is fundamental since beings are attached to their lives more than the pleasures gained with sense objects. This latent craving is a strong force. It boosts the strength of the mind stream to sustain further. So that's what we are going to discuss today. This latent craving gives a boost to our mind. So our mind stream remains to continue without stopping, right? So close to death, if you go to the 11.5 fundamental, close to death, our mind stream gets weakened because of few reasons. In the 5 Panchavokara realm, in which the body mind associates the body. Now we all know, who have studied Abhidhamma, the Kamaja Rupa process stops close to death. And also Utuja Rupas, most of the times when death is going to happen, Utuja Rupa is also affected by whatever is some reason, like a sickness or a heart attack. So the Utuja Rupa cannot sustain. So likewise, in the Panchavokara realm, mostly the Rupa is getting weaker. So the mind which depends on this Rupa is getting weaker based on the Rupa. Then another reason is sometimes in the Arupa realm and the Panchavokara realm both, the karma which is giving the life, which has produced the life, and which is producing the bhavanga stream, is about to expire. It is going to finish. That is called kammakkaya marana. Sometimes another karma interferes this karma. That is when the case of upachedaka maranas, upachedaka marana because of another karma, for example, right? Upachedaka karma, destroying the life. Another karma interferes. And when it comes to arahants, mostly the body is getting weaker because the lifespan has expired, because another karma doesn't take the opportunity in arahant, because they are not going to born again. So even in such case, the body is affected because of sickness, because of old age, or because of an accident, or accident which happened to or the torment which happened to the body, like Mahamoggala. So Mahamoggala. So this either it is another karma is interrupting, or the body is getting unsuitable for the karma to produce their results. So whatever reason it is, the mind stream is getting weaker at the moment of death. But the thing is, when the latent craving is still present in us, this craving boosts this mind, gives a boost to this mind, strengthens this mind which gets weakened. So what happens? It tends to continue. If the latent craving for existence is not there, mind stream will peacefully pass away and it will not continue any further. That is what happens to an arahant. We will come to this point with the explanation of anantara paccaya at the end of this topic. So bhava taṇhā strengthens the mind stream, which gets weakened at the moment close to the death. So if you go to the page number 2 in the same fundamental, within bold letters, but craving, in other words, wanting to live further, boosts the strength of this weakened mind stream. Therefore, as a result, the mind process does not stop at the ceasing of the chutti chitta. Right? It doesn't cease at the chutti chitta. There are some important points in that fundamental. If you go to the previous page again, it was mentioned before under the chapter of consciousness that every chitta has a momentum, and this momentum causes the arising of another chitta, anantara paccaya, if you remember. As the karma which gave the rebirth of the present life is about to stop its functioning, the mind stream becomes weak close to death. So this momentum, even the momentum is getting weaker close to the death. But the mind stream is upheld by the craving to live, so it may continue. So, however, craving alone cannot cause the mind stream to continue after death. The next fundamental. As a life is a production of karma, it needs the support of a karma to sustain the continuation of the mind stream. If said with more precision, Taṇhā, which is the main driving force for the mind stream to continue after death, does it with the instrumental support of karma. Karma is necessary. The Taṇhā alone cannot force this. Karma is necessary. So therefore, a karma gets the opportunity to produce the next life. So now we have to understand why and how this happens. If you put this phenomenon into a simile, for example, I shall read the paragraph. The farmer has the urge. A farmer has the urge and interest to grow paddy in order to gain crops. For that he needs suitable living seeds which are alive, right? Living seeds. Living means that has the potential to bring plants. He arranges all activities such as plowing the ground, sowing the seeds, and watering and protecting the planted seeds. When the proper time comes, seeds will grow into plants and give crops. Likewise, Taṇhā is the driving force to live further. It urges us to do all sorts of activities in order to sustain the existence, whether aiming this life or future life. But as plants which yield crops come out of seeds, karma produces the life which consequently give the crops of Vedana. So Kamma is the seed which gives, the crops are like the Vedana. We want to have pleasures in our life. That's what the crops that we are looking for. So hence Taṇhā needs the support of Kamma to sustain the continuation of the mind stream. The farmer himself cannot bring crops if he doesn't have a seed. So he should have the suitable seeds for that. So likewise, Taṇhā is the urge, Taṇhā is the driving force which arranges all these activities and finally leads us to a certain destination. But it needs the support of a suitable Kamma in order to do that. So therefore, the Taṇhā is the main cause, but it brings the life with the help of a Kamma, right? With the help of a Kamma. So then we go to the next fundamental. It was mentioned before how a Kamma comes forth to yield the following rebirth at the moment of death. We discussed this matter in detail. We discussed the matter in detail, how a Kamma gets the opportunity to produce the next rebirth, right? We already discussed about this matter. Sometimes beings recall certain Kammas close to death, right? Sometimes we automatically happen to recall the Kammas. Sometimes we do certain Kammas close to death, happen to do certain Kammas close to death. So all these are called Asanna Kamma, if you remember. Kammas recalled or done close to death are called Asanna Kammas, right? So this Kamma, when we do a Kamma near to death, that Kamma gets the priority unless there is a Garuka Kamma. So the thing what I want to mention is, even we don't do anything related to Kamma, even we don't remember anything related to Kamma, when we are about to die, if the person is a non-Arahant, surely a Kamma would come forth, right? Surely a Kamma would. So even we don't do anything related to a Kamma, if the person is a non-Arahant, a Kamma would surely get the opportunity to yield the next rebirth. That is a natural law which happens, right? So then the question comes, why does a Kamma get the opportunity to yield the rebirth? It's because the wish or desire to live. We have an inherited desire to live when we are going to die. So this is the reason why a Kamma gets the opportunity to give results. So we have to find out why. What is the relation of Taṇhā and this Kamma, right? So for this to understand, we should focus first about the causes that are necessary for the mind stream to continue without ceasing. So now if I remind the lecture back again, so we discussed about the Taṇhā. Among the Taṇhās, it's threefold. Actually, I couldn't explain that. Taṇhā towards the karma objects, Taṇhā towards the life, and there's another special Taṇhā called craving connected with the view of annihilation, or craving for annihilation, craving for non-existence. So this is called Vibhava Taṇhā. So among these, the Bhava Taṇhā is the most fundamental. That is the craving for existence, right? Craving for existence. So then we mentioned a being who is going to die, or non-Arahant, always inherit this craving that can be proven in a sudden confrontation when we are going to face an accident suddenly, how the fear arises within us. And all the non-Arahants die with this latent craving. It means not fully satisfied with the life we have fed. It's not satisfied about the life. They are not satisfied living. That's the point. Still there is a wanting to continue to live. Suiciding doesn't mean that wanting has been uprooted. That is because either he cannot face the problems that he is encountering, or because of a wrong view. So then the non-Arahants die with this craving to live. At the same time, this mind stream becomes weaker close to death, and this craving upholds this mind stream, strengthens this mind stream, so the mind stream starts to continue. When also we know The Taṇhā alone cannot make the mind stream to continue after death. It does it with the instrumental support of karma. Karma gets the opportunity to produce the results at the moment, give a rebirth at the moment of death. So we also know that a karma done close to death, karma done recalled close to death gets the priority over other karmas unless there is a garuka karma. So what I want to emphasize through this is, even someone doesn't do anything related to karma close to death. If, for example, while he was sleeping or nothing is related to a patisandhidayaka karma, but still, if a non-arahant is going to die, a karma would surely get the opportunity to give the next rebirth. So we have to find out what is the relationship between Taṇhā and karma on this matter. For that, I would take you to another dimension of topic, that is the causes that are necessary for the mind stream to continue without stopping. So these causes are twofold. Causes that are necessary for the mind stream to continue while we are living, and the causes that are necessary for the mind stream to continue after death. Right? These are the two causes. So there are few causes which are necessary for the mind stream to continue existing without stopping. They are twofold as causes necessary for the mind stream to continue within one life, and causes necessary for it to continue after death. Why the mind stream doesn't stop at the death, and why the mind stream doesn't stop within this life. Right? These are the causes. If we discuss about the causes that are necessary for the mind stream to continue, first is the power or force of the karma that gave the patisandhi. So this karma produces bhavanga chitta continuously till the chutti chitta, even the chutti chitta. So as long as the karma remains, we live. That is the main force of a certain life. Life is determined by the karma. The length of a life is mainly determined by the karma. Other facts also do have an effect, but the main lifeblood of a karma, lifeblood full of a life, is the karma which gave the patisandhi. Then the next point is the momentum of a chitta, which causes another chitta to arise successively afterwards. That is anantara pachaya. We have discussed about this point also. When a chitta passes away, the momentum causes for another chitta to happen. Then another quality called jivitindriya chetasika. Jivitindriya chetasika, what does it do? It strengthens the mind, the mental cluster in which it arises. So what happens when the mind is strengthened, the mental cluster is strengthened by jivitindriya, its momentum is capable of producing another strong chitta. It means this strength of a certain chitta, it causes for the mind stream to continue, following chittas to happen in a more stable manner. Stable means the generation will continue, will start to live. Living means continuing without stopping. So how does the jivitindriya support this continuation? It strengthens the associated mental factors, mentalities in the cluster. So when they get strengthened, when they are supporting the following chittas, the mental cluster consequently support the following chittas to occur in a generation without ceasing. Right? So because of the strength of this mental cluster, the chittas which arise with this support would get also strengthened. So that is the jivitindriya. Then the causes necessary for the mind stream to continue after death. First is the Taṇhā or craving to live further. Bhava Taṇhā is necessary. Bhava Taṇhā is not necessary for a life to continue, a mind stream to continue within one life. That is why even we eradicate Bhava Taṇhā, we still can remain. So Bhava Taṇhā is not a necessary factor for a mind stream to exist within the life. It is necessary for the mind stream to continue after death only. Right? Now that's why Arahant, after eradicating all the Taṇhā, can still live. That the Buddha could live after eradicating Taṇhā. Then for the next life to happen, force of the karma which is about to give the following rebirth. That is the karma samangita which came into Upaṭṭhāna samangita. I think you are familiar with these words now. Upaṭṭhāna samangita is when the karma gets the opportunity to produce the next rebirth. So the karma which got the opportunity, that is also a necessary factor. So this is also taking the mind, pushing the mind towards a new life. right? Then it's giving it is causing the mind. It takes control over the mind. So then momentum of the Chutti Chitta, which causes the arising of the following Patisandhi Chitta. Chutti Chitta also has the momentum. This momentum supports the arising of the Patisandhi Chitta. Also, the Jivitindriya Chetasika of the Chutti Chitta, which makes the mental cluster stronger, so the Patisandhi Chitta and the following Chittas also occurs without stopping. So these are the factors that are necessary for the mind stream to continue after life. So there are 3 factors we can find which are utterly necessary for a mind stream to continue within one life, and there are 4 factors for the mind stream to continue after death. The differences are, in the first causes, the karma is the karma which gave the rebirth. In the second causes, the karma is the karma which is going to give the rebirth, which had got the opportunity to produce the results, produce the new life. Then momentum is found in all the chittas which in one life is necessary for the following chitta. Then from one life to another life, momentum of the Chutti Chitta which support the Patisandhi Chitta. Jivitindriya of all the chittas within one life supports for the generation to continue. Jivitindriya of the Chutti Chitta is necessary for the Patisandhi Chitta and the following chittas to occur. Then we come into the special factor which is only exclusive from one mind stream to continue after death is the Bhava-Taṇhā. Even Bhava-Taṇhā is eradicated within one life, it's not going to stop. So Bhava-Taṇhā or Taṇhā is necessary for the mind stream to continue from after life to life, continue after death, not within one life to continue. Right? Not within one life to continue. Among these causes, let us have a look at the force of Taṇhā. Right? Force of Taṇhā. So 11.11 fundamental. At the moment of death, Taṇhā works latently and sometimes even in obsession, pariyuttana. The latent craving is the unsatisfied desire. We have to desire is the unsatisfied desire. We have to live further. Desire, it means with desire we have to live further, even at the death moment. Right? It's the craving that we. It's not properly written actually. That is the craving that urges us to live, makes us to want to live even at the moment of death. Right? Anusaya Bhava-Taṇhā. As a result of this non-uprooted desire, beings do not like to die. Even most beings are afraid of dying. That the Buddha mentioned, Sabbe Bhayasa Machunu. Right? And also this fear I have mentioned in the footnotes can also happen, is also a cause. Sakkaya Ditthi is also a cause for this fear. I factor. I factor means believing that there is an I. Right? Self-idea. So sometimes this latent craving into obsession, it get manifested as a mental state. So near to death, people start to like their lives. People start to feel the importance of their life. So they get attached to the life. Sometimes get attached to the beloved ones, relatives, their property. Right? So they get the strong attachment that they cannot leave this. So in the end, what happens? When they get to know that they are going to die, with such an attachment, what is the outcome? Sorrow, crying, or lamentation. They feel very sad that they don't want to give up this life. They want to give up their beloved ones. They don't want to give up their property. So this Taṇhā sometimes come into obsession in the mind stream. Mind gets obsessed by this Taṇhā. Sometimes Kama Taṇhā may also appear. That's why the desire for sensual objects or the ones who we like and the property. Some beings, then the next type of Taṇhā is, some beings get attached to the nimitta. It means one of the near-death signs, kamma nimitta and gati nimitta at the moment of death. Especially this happens when someone is going to be born in a blissful realm like the Deva realm. When he sees the beautiful objects, they can get attached to this this object. This attachment is not going to stop your rebirth. This attachment, even if it's akusala kamma, it is not going to disturb your next rebirth. That is supportive for your next life. Taṇhā sometimes is supportive for the next rebirth, right? Is supportive the next rebirth. So therefore, even you get attached to this nimitta, even it's a pleasant nimitta, that is not going to interrupt your next rebirth, even in a blissful state. Yeah.
So this attachment, it doesn't appear in the Maranasana Javana?
It can appear. Can appear.
If appear, this
not always.
This Javana is akusala. How can?
No, it's no problem. Maranasana Javana is not necessary to be kusala. Because in the Patisambhida Magga, we mentioned, we see, even in Sugati you can have a Loga Mula Chitta. Because when we are going, for example, Patisambhida Magga, it mentions, when we are having a rebirth in a, for example, Sugati realm, there are 8 factors, 8 mulas. 3 Kusala Mula, 2 Akusala Mula, 3 Vipaka Mula. If you are born as a, for example, if you are born as a Tihetuka Patisandhi. So Tihetuka Patisandhi is given by a Tihetuka Kamma. So when we do the Kamma, we have Aloba, Adosa, Amoha. So when we die, what happens? Nikanti, Nimitta Nikanti appears. That times Loba and Moha. Then we come into the Vipaka Hetu, that is the Patisandhi moment. That is Aloba, Adosa, Amoha. So it is mentioned a rebirth happens out of 8 hetu, not 9 hetu. It is out of 8 hetu. Sometimes, and also this loba happening at the moment of death explained as twofold. That is nimitta nikanti and bhava nikanti. Bhava nikanti happens after you are born in the next life, right? So therefore, the loba which happens at the moment of death is not going to interrupt your next life. Right? It's not going to interrupt your next life. So then what happens? So there are few types of loba. At a later fundamental, I have categorized all the lobas that occur during the death, at moment of death. We'll come to that. So this point, please keep in mind, there is a latent craving. Sometimes this craving can get manifested in the mind. And sometimes this craving arises towards the near-death sign, right? Towards the near-death sign. It's not always. Especially for an example, if someone is seeing a terrifying object like a hell and all, so at that time they don't get the loba. Mostly they can get those. And also beings die. Most of the beings who are dying at the moment of death, they would get the domanassa. Oh, they are worried about their past karmas, right? Past karmas. But the following bhavanikanti, I'll come to that point, because the jati is surrounded by loba. The rebirth is something surrounded by loba. So the afterlife, we get a loba attaching to our present life. That is called bhavanikanti. That is a must for all the lives. But the nimitta nikanti is not a must. It appears to some beings only. It appears to some beings. But there are some teachers who advocate that nimitta nikanti is a must. Some say that nimitta nikanti is a must. But according to the commentarial explanations, what I understand is it's not a must to all beings, but only for sometimes. So here the point I want to emphasize with this fundamental is Taṇhā acts as a force. How does this force appear? At the moment there is a latent craving. At the moment there is an obsession. Obsession means pariyuttana craving for the life and sometimes for the objects. That's why for example, if you remember the story which I mentioned, a monk becoming a bug, he was obsessed with the rope, right? So another danger is if we are too much attached to a certain person or a certain being or a certain place, after death we may be born in that place. There is a possibility. That is what happened to King Bimbisara. King Bimbisara was living as a yakka for many lives in a certain realm. So I even become a Sotapanna, he ended up being the Janavasabha, the yakka called Janavasabha. So the reason was he has been living in that realm for many times, so there was a craving to be born there. So when we get attached to certain beings, certain places, there is a possibility that we may be pushed to that place after death. You remember the Gosaka story. The story of Gosaka, who became the Seti and who eventually built the Gosaka Rama for the Buddha. In the previous life, he was in the divine realm. Before the divine realm, he was a dog. Why he became a dog? In the previous life, he was a human. So when they were running away from an epidemic, they came to a certain house, and the householders treated them very well with the wife and himself. And he was starving a lot, and he ate a lot of food. He ate too much food. At the same time, while the householders were feeding the dog, the female dog, the dog ate a lot, and she slept very happily. She ate very happily and was very satisfied with the food. Then the Gosaka thought, "Oh, what a happiness this dog is enjoying," and he thought how happy it would be to be into such a level. But unfortunately, he died in the same night. This craving that he left to become a dog, she ended up being in the dog's womb, being a puppy next life. And then in that next life, he served the Pacceka Buddha, but fortunately ended up in the Deva world. In the Deva world, he was too playful, so in the one time, he forgot to eat the food. He was continuously enjoying the pleasures, died, but fortunately born as a human being and became the Gosaka. To my knowledge, he became a Sotapanna. Why is Sotapanna? So he's safe at the end. So thing is, when we get into such attachment towards a certain thing or certain life, our next rebirth can be driven towards that destination. Now, there is a practical thing. So here, these are the forces that uphold the mind, affect the mind at the moment of death. So now I'm coming into another topic, taking the topic a bit behind to our practical life. Still we are talking the relationship of Taṇhā with the Kamma and the Taṇhā. So the force of the Taṇhā can be seen in our practical experience. For example, if we get strongly attached to a certain thing or a certain person, what happens? Our mind always starts to go to that object, continuously go to them. It is very difficult to prevent it. If we like a certain thing, we want to buy. If we want to buy it, we keep on thinking about that, right? So it's very difficult to prevent it, and if it is too strong, we may act upon it. So we feel this force given by Taṇhā as a pressure, right? As a pressure, and we all most of the times we have experienced this forceful nature of Taṇhā. So if this Taṇhā, which is very, very difficult to be prevented, example is given for another object. That was a sense object or a person, external person. But think about the Taṇhā that we have towards ourselves. Buddha mentions he doesn't see anyone whom beings get attached to their own selves. Self is the most admirable thing. So one time King Kosala made the fault asking the question from Mallika. He went to Mallika and asked the question. So is there anyone in the world that you love more than yourself? So the king was thinking that she would give the desirable answer, yeah, you are my king. But Mallika was so clever. She said, no, there is no one whom I love more than myself. The king was disappointed. And then what happened? Mallika asked the king, is there anyone? And king also counter-answered, no, there is no one other than I love myself. Right? So then he went to Buddha and posed the same question. Buddha said, even I look the entire world with my wisdom, I don't see a person, anyone who is dear to anyone that your own self who is dear to one. It means beings are attached to themselves the most. So if we see similarly the strength of the craving towards an external object is also difficult to be prevented. Nothing to say the attachment that we have to ourselves. So this attachment is inevitable to prevent. It's impossible to be prevented by a person who has not eradicated the ignorance. If ignorance is there, the force of the craving cannot be prevented. So that is why at the moment of death, this craving upholds the mind and affects the mind, and it releases a very strong pressure, force upon our mind. So the mind happens to continue without stopping. Right? Yes, sir. Another question.
More than love herself.
That is, in sometimes they may make some sacrifices like that, but still the attachment to your own life is more powerful than anything else. That can be seen, for example, when we regard the suffering that comes to our body and so forth. There are many reasons to say one is attached to oneself than anyone else. It's like there are some cases that some may sacrifice himself for the sake of others. It can happen. Doesn't mean that inherited attachment to yourself is removed. That is a very basic fundamental. Right? That is why even something falls into your body, suddenly we jerks and we starts to move. A mother will start to protect her child, but still when we consider about the pain and everything that we experience, that the subjective experience, craving to ourselves is the most fundamental. And also craving to the child is also connected with the factor of I. This is my child. She will not consider about another child. So it is also connected to I. So I is the main attachment to me.
Mother love her children also because this is my children.
Yeah, that's right, my
children.
children. Yeah.
If a human being love her cat and dogs as her baby, I think that kind of loving kindness is more pure because she doesn't expect anything back. She doesn't expect these children when grow up will support her, will take care of her, or make her have faith, or make her can proud of herself. No, without expecting anything in return. That's why I think if a human being has attachment to animal, this kind of attachment is more pure than the mother's attachment to her children.
That is, we'll discuss topic later, and that we have to decide when I think a person maybe sometimes we adopt the cats. The day we get a real child, that's the time we can judge what attachment is more powerful and more strong. We cannot judge it objectively, to my understanding. Right?
But she doesn't expect anything back.
That is not only based on what we expect. The feeling towards a child and feeling towards an animal when we adopt, that is different. It's cannot be judged based on what they expect or what they expect from the child. That is, the levels are different. That can only be explained by a person when a person gets a child, really give birth to a child. That's how I understand. Right? So even I myself is unable to explain that. Right? So where were we? So it is impossible to prevent this craving to a person whose ignorance is not uprooted. Right? So due to this force, 11.13, due to this force created by craving, which has not been satisfied with the experience of life, a certain karma comes forth, producing a new life, going under the influence of Taṇhā. Rebirth takes place immediately after death. Right? So then the rebirth takes place immediately after death. This is called Karma function, yeah. So I think that is a extra statement. Please cut that, right? Producing a new life, going under the influence of Bhava Taṇhā. The next phrase is an addition. Rebirth take place immediately after this is not necessary. This is called the phenomenon. Sorry. That should be. Therefore, rebirth take place. Yeah. Therefore, sorry for that. Therefore, rebirth takes place immediately after death. This is called the phenomenon of craving. Of wish. It means karma functions under the influence of craving and sometimes wish. I'll explain that at the end of this topic. Maybe not at the next lecture, in the beginning of the next lecture. So the phenomenon of craving and phenomenon of wish. So we come to the point now that when the craving is present, the karma gets the opportunity. Now I gave another fundamental. Karma produces the effects under the influence of craving. According to the influence of craving, right? So why does karma undergoes the influence of Taṇhā? What is the reason? Actually, karma is an outcome of Taṇhā. Therefore, it behaves according to the nature of the Taṇhā. So, because the Taṇhā is an outcome, karma is an outcome of Taṇhā, so it acts. This is how I explain. It acts. The karma acts according to the Taṇhā. So, when the Taṇhā is present, karma gets the opportunity to give results. How the karma can be a outcome of Taṇhā, outcome of craving. So if you go to 11.15, 1.5 fundamental, aforesaid force of craving to live is constantly found in our mind streams. Therefore, when the mind streams comes to the level of Javana Chittupada, so Javana Chitta arising, due to the constant pressure unleashed upon it by the craving to live. So craving always put a pressure on our mind stream. So when the mind stream comes to the level of Javana, its associate in Chetana involves in mental and physical activities with a high intensity. So this craving, which is inheritedly within us, affects our mind stream. I will talk about this matter detail in the next lecture under the next topics. So here we want to emphasize, what I want to emphasize, the craving is, because of the craving is present, our Chetana, Javana Chetana, involves in mental, physical and verbal activities with a high intense. So what happened? Here high intense implies the nature of extra involvement of Javana Chetana in cognition and physical, verbal and mental actions of non-Arahants than that of Arahants who have eradicated craving completely. So Arahant's mind stream, which is free from this latent craving, is very calm. So therefore, it doesn't get involved in certain actions as our mind does. So that's why some actions does not happen in Arahants. For example, our tradition says an Arahant never laughs making a sound. What is the reason? So when this craving and the defilements are not present, the mind works in a different level. Even though the wholesome, the sobana chitta of an Arahant can do the same activities like preaching Dhamma, helping others, meditating like a Putujjana or a lower noble, it doesn't get into, certain actions cannot be performed by this Kriya Chitta because its level, its serenity is higher. So this is the same reason when two Javana Chittas are occurring, one in a Arahant and one in a Nova Noble or a Putujjana. The involvement in the same action, Arahant is preaching the Dhamma, a Putujjana is preaching the Dhamma, both are doing a wholesome, admirable act. What happens? The involvement of the mind, the level of involvement is quite different. So what happens? The intensity of the act is quite low in the Arahant's mind because of the lack of the influence of this latent craving. So then what happens? So when in a Putujjana or a person the craving is still present, what happens? Based on this notion, tradition mentions that Javana Chetanas of non-Arahants enjoy the flavor of objects than those of Arahants. I'll come to this point also in the next lecture. In addition, due to this extra involvement, the manner in which mental, verbal and physical actions were done will implant or otherwise get implanted in the mind stream. That manner has the capacity to bring forth results in future. Hence, Kamma is greatly related with Taṇhā. Right? So, my personal idea is why this manner of performance is able to perform results is because of the Taṇhā. Taṇhā is a wanting. Wanting means it's like it wants to continue. So when the Kamma is done, it would give results in future. It is also one kind of unsatisfied quality. It means it has done a certain act, so it would remain a certain force which would result in future. So since the Taṇhā is there for continue, this Taṇhā and Kamma are greatly related. So for example, we give someone something with the expectation of gaining back the interest, for example. So then when we give it, there is a certain bondage with that person that to whom we gave. So likewise, when we do a certain act without completely with a mind stream, with a mind which is not complete, in which the craving is not completely uprooted, what happened? Because of this expectation, a certain force remains within our mind stream which can produce a result. So the happening of Kamma, personally, is my personal idea. Personally, I see it has a great relationship with the Kamma, with the Taṇhā. So that is why when the Kamma produces results, it is greatly influenced by the craving or the wish. I'll come to that point under the special phenomenon called phenomenon of craving or phenomenon of wish, which I explained in the previous semester, but I'm going to explain today with more detail. So therefore, Taṇhā, Kamma is an outcome of craving. So according to this, what I have explained in the handout, when the craving is present, our involvement in a certain action, the intensity is higher. So this intensity leaves its manner of performance, it gets implanted. It's implants in the mind stream. The manner of performance is implanted. So what happens? It has the ability to produce result. So this ability to produce result, personally I feel, is because of the influence of craving is there. It's like we give something with an expectation. So what we are doing, all we are doing, there is a certain expectation to continue. So according to this manner of performance is capable of producing a result. That is why when the craving is gone, this manner of performance will not be implanted in our mind stream. Right? It will not be in our mind stream. So then we go to the next fundament. Nevertheless, this force is not necessary for the mind stream to continue within one life. That is why the mind stream of an Arahant continues till his demise. So what I also want to mention, that this force put by Bhava Taṇhā upon the mind stream is not necessary for us to live while we are alive, like in a certain life. So this force, the next fundamental, boosts the mind stream of a non-Arahant, which becomes weakened near to death. So at the moment of death, the mind stream gets weakened, so it is boosted by this craving. Close to death, due to this force, mind stream remains energetic. Therefore, it continues a certain. Therefore, to continue, a certain Kamma done in the past get the opportunity to bring forth another life, which enables the continuation of the mind stream. If the force of craving is not present, to which if craving is already eradicated, there is nothing to energize the weakening mind stream at the brink of death. Eventually, the mind stream stops forever with the ceasing of the death consciousness. So how do we prove the notion of weakening? So that is also very important. So weakening near the death. Naturally close to death, in Panchavokara realms, the mind stream is supported by weak Kamajarupas. Then in both Chatuvokara and Panchavokara realm, the mind stream becomes weak, either due to karma which gave the patisandhi, is close to expire, or its opportunity to continue resulting is being prevented by another karma. In the Panchavokara realm, sometimes death happens due to physical conditions of the body does not support the mind stream. Therefore, the mind stream becomes weak close to death. This weakened mind stream is energized to a certain extent by the force of craving to live. Then the momentum of the Chutti-chitta of thus boosted mind stream supports the arising of a Patisandhi chitta. When the mind stream of an Arahant is not thus empowered by craving, the momentum of the final chitta is not adequate enough to assist the arising of another chitta. That is why Arahanta Chutti is not considered as an Anantara Pachaya. Right? That is why we don't consider it as an Anantara Pachaya. At that point, a person who knows Abhidhamma may have a counter question. Arahanta Chutti has the momentum. It has the capacity to produce a chitta, but it doesn't do because of lacking of other causes. No. In such a case, still if the Arahanta Chutti had the momentum to produce a new life, new chitta, but the new chitta doesn't arise because of other reasons, then still it should be included in Anantara Pachaya. The best example is Magga Pachaya. Magga Pachaya is the realities which leads our mind towards Sugati, Dugati and Nibbana. But when we count the Pachayas of the Magga Pachaya, the realities of Magga Pachaya, we take the 8-fold path factors or the 9 path factors, including Akusalas, that 9 path factors which are found in Kusala, Akusala, Vipaka, Kiriya, Sahetuka Chittas. All the Sahetuka Chittas have Maggas. But we know Vipaka Chittas lead you nowhere. Kiriya Chittas lead you nowhere. Kiriya Chittas doesn't take the Arahant to a Sugati, Dugati, even to Nibbana. He has already attained them. So, but still we take these Magga Angas in these Chittas as Magga Pachya. The reason is they inherently have the quality to be called Magganga. They do not lead the mind stream to certain destinations because of lacking of other factors. Vipaka Chitta lacks the energetic quality because it's produced by a previous karma. Kiriya Chittas doesn't lead to a certain destination because of lacking of latent defilements. So likewise, it is called Pachaya Vekala because of the absence of certain Pachayas. If a Pachaya has the inherited quality but it doesn't produce its result because of the lacking of some other reason, still we count this as a Pachaya. That is the best example is Magga Pachaya. So therefore, if the Arahanta Chutti had the momentum capable of producing another chitta and the next chitta is not produced because of the lacking of other reasons, because of lacking of a karma or because of lacking of craving, still we have to include Arahanta Chutti into Anantara Pachya. So why don't we include it into Anantara Pachya? Because it doesn't have its momentum, doesn't have the ability to support for another chitta. Why is that? The mind stream is getting weakened. So this weakened mind stream of an Arahant is not boosted by this craving, the craving to continue. So that is what it is mentioned in Partanudesa Dipani. I have given the footnote where Lady Sayadaw says that it is so calm, the mind stream is so calm because the forces of karma, forces of Taṇhā is not present at that time. So therefore, forces of defilements are not present in them. Kamma kilesa veganam sabbaso patipassadda bhavena achanta santaratta tasya chittassa. So it's so calm, that chitta is very calm. is become weakened. At the same time, it's too calm because it's not boosted by these forces. So therefore, the fundamental that I want to arrive at is the mind stream is getting weakened at the moment of death, and this weakened mind stream is upheld by the anantara, by the craving. So before concluding this lecture, then I'll continue with the information in the next lecture because the time has elapsed. So in this lecture, we discussed about many points. The craving is the fundamental reason for the continuation of life, and it is found in all the non-arahants, and all the non-arahants died with this craving, and this craving is the main reason for the mind to get energetic at the moment of death. So thus energized mind stream continues to live, but the craving itself cannot produce the next life. It needs the support of instrumental support, which is given by the Taṇhā. And why the Taṇhā is giving the result? Because Taṇhā is greatly related with the craving according to our tradition. So Taṇhā, the force of Taṇhā get inherited because of defilements. It's not only craving, but craving has a great influence. So that's why, and also the wanting nature of craving, it seems like, my personal idea, it seems like the wanting nature of craving is greatly influencing the Taṇhā to produce a result later. So then, because of these reasons, when the craving is present, any of the Taṇhā which is an outcome of craving, going under the influence of craving, according to the craving, produces the next life. And that can be also verified by the phenomenon of craving and wish, which we are going to discuss in the next lecture. So we'll take a break and start the next lecture. If you have any questions, 1 or 2. Okay, then we'll after some 15 minutes.